Hello everybody, welcome back to Retro Computing Ranch. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I have both physical hardware and simulators. Now, of course, I always prefer to have the physical hardware, but there are cases where maybe you've used a machine in the past and there's no way that you're ever going to be able to use that machine again reasonably. There's no way you can own that machine. One such instance of that is the Bendix G-15. I visited Usagi Electric recently and was able to use the Bendix G-15 that he has on loan from the System Source Museum. And it will be going back to the System Source Museum at some point soon. And I realized that I really don't know much about the Bendix G-15, at least from the perspective of being able to use it and program it. You'll probably run into the same thing. You'll be able to go to the museum and see the G-15, but it would help if you had some experience beforehand on how to use it. Fortunately, due to the work of Usagi Electric and also to the work of Paul Kimpel, who's written an emulator, it is now possible to emulate a Bendix G-15 on your own computer. I'm going to be doing this under Linux Mint. There are ways to do it under Windows that's a little bit more complicated. I would say the easiest way to do it is just going to be to do so under Linux. So let me open a command window here, a terminal. And I am going to use apt-get to help get some things installed that we're going to need, and then we'll use get to bring it down. So the first thing I like to do is do a sudo apt-get update. Sudo is basically almost like running it as an administrator. So it's going to ask for our password. And this will take just a few moments to run through. I just did this earlier. This is a fresh install that I've done all the updates on. So we should be in pretty good shape here. So we're going to do a sudo apt-get install. And we're going to need a web server to get this running, because the way that the Retro G-15 emulator is written, it runs as a web page. And you can actually go to Paul's site and run it there, or you can have a local copy. I like to have a local copy just so I can mess around with stuff. So we're going to install Apache real quick. Shouldn't take too long. Now this is a virtual machine, of course, here that I'm running. You could run it on physical hardware or any number of different ways. We're getting pretty close now that we're in processing triggers. There we go. All right. So we're going to sudo again. We're going to use systemctl to get the status of Apache 2. Yeah, it is active and running. Okay, so we need to open a web browser. There we go. We're going to bypass all that. So we're going to go to http:// and localhost. And that did not do as expected. Let's try that again. There we go. So now we can see that Apache 2 is working. This is the default page. So what we need to do, let's minimize this back out. We hit Q to get back to our command prompt there. So we need to use get to bring everything down from GitHub. HTTPS github.com//PKIMPEL retro-G15. All right. We don't have Git yet. That actually brings up a good point. I don't think we're going to have to compile anything, but let's go ahead and get the system ready for if we have to compile something later. So we're going to do sudo apt-get install git, and I'm also going to throw in build-essential. Yep, there we go. I'm going to tell it yes. Wait until it has everything installed here. And we'll do a quick directory listing. So we are in my user's home directory. So let's try that git clone command again. So we are cloning, and we're done. So now, if we do another directory listing, you can see we have a directory called retro-G15. So if you were to open that folder in the file explorer that they have in Linux Mint, which is called Nemo, we could go to the retro G15 folder, and you can see the index.html page, and you might think, I can just double click that and get it to load in Firefox and we'll be good to go. So I'll show you what happens. It looks like it's going to work. You go to the G15 emulator homepage, you tell it to start the emulator, and nothing happens. So the way to get around that is to have it actually running through the web server. So that all gets put in, let's see here, it's going to be var www HTML. Now there's an issue. That folder belongs to the root user, and so we're not going to have rights to copy and paste our retro G15 information into there. The way to get around that, like I said, the name of this program is Nemo. We're going to do sudo Nemo at the command prompt, and it will open Nemo. It tells us with this red bar up here that we are operating under elevated privileges. So then we just have to drill back down. Now, if we go to home here, that's root's home folder. So we need to go to file system, and then home, then Charles. That would be your username, of course. Let's close that out. We don't want that for right now. Retro G15. So what we are going to do is we're going to take the contents of the Retro G15 folder and we're going to copy it over. So we'll do a Control A and we'll do a copy. Let's go back to File System. I'm going to scroll down to var, then drill to www and then into HTML. We're going to paste. We want to replace that file. That should be all wrapped up. Now I'm going to do, and I don't think this is necessary, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to restart Apache 2. All right. So we'll go back to our web browser. We're going to refresh. Now we have the Retro G15 emulator running here under our web server. So if we go to the G15 emulator homepage, and you can see up here that it is running locally. We click Start the Emulator, and now we have the actual emulator here. So at this point, let me maximize this window. We could actually start running code. Now, let me bring up another copy of this. We have it getting started. We have it using the control panel. We have a link to G15 software. Let's go ahead and go to G15 software. We're going to click where it says code, tell it download, And so now we have that zip file downloaded. I'm going to move this because right now it's under downloads. So we're going to cut, go up one level, we're going to paste, and now we want to extract this exactly where it's at. So we're going to extract here. And so we have a G-15 software main. Now under that, there's a variety of things. What we're going to take a look at right now is the diagnostics. So we have a BXTST and a G-15 tape bootable. You can run both of them, and I'll show you what they do here in just a moment. We also have the PPR, which is the program preparation routine. That is actually the default tape that is ready to run right now. It doesn't show that there's a file selected, but the PPR is there. So if we were to start the machine right now, PPR would load. Let me show you that. So once you have the control panel up, press reset, and you'll hear 2 clicks. So I/O is up, command line is up. We loaded one block of tape. We're now loading the second block of tape, and that's punched paper tape. Virtual, of course. All right, so now we have the R and we're back to ready. So we'll go down here to our compute switch and we'll flip it to go. We're doing some processing. We're loading additional blocks from the tape. All right, so at this point, let me see if I can remember what to do here. We're going to flip our compute switch back to off, which is the center position. We're going to press the escape key, which will turn enable to on. We're going to press P once, and then we're going to release the escape key. And now we're going to set compute back to go. So now we're loading additional blocks from the tape. So what this is doing is loading the number track onto the drum. So now if you were to follow along with learning everything that's presented in the manuals that are available on the site, you could interactively program the computer. I haven't gone through and learned all that. I haven't done it yet. But let's go ahead and we'll unload this tape and load a new tape. And actually, since this is the default, we don't technically have to unload, but it's a good process to do it. So we're going to flip compute to off. We're going to click unload. We're going to go to browse. And then we're going to go into our G-15 software. We're going to drill down to diagnostics. And let's go ahead and load the G-15 bootable tape. So we double clicked it. Now it's loaded in the machine. We can click reset to reset the machine. We got our 2 clicks. We're loading tape. Okay, we've got our 2 blocks of tape loaded. We can flip our compute switch to go, and what it's going to do is it's going to print the contents of, I think it's line 19 on the drum. It's just basically a diagnostic procedure. Once this is done, we can execute some diagnostic code. There is documentation for this in the diagnostics folder. So let's go take a look at that while we're waiting for that to read out. So as you can see here, for the G-15 tape bootable, it's the standard G-15 diagnostic program provided by Bendix, but it's been modified. So after starting the program will type out the contents of line 19 on the drum. That takes about 2 minutes. And then it will type out the hexadecimal checksum of the number track and wait for input on the typewriter keyboard. You have 2 tests available, 2 or 5. Once you've entered 2 or 5, you hit Tab and then S. Once you've done that, it starts executing the code. Today, we're going to do test 5. So let's go back over to the emulator and see where it is at. And we're still printing the contents of line 19. So really, at this point, for me, I don't understand a whole lot of what's going on. I'd like to learn it. This is really almost like a blinking lights, but it's progress. Okay. I think it is done with what it was doing. So like I said, we should be able to hit 5 and then Tab and S. And we're loading blocks of tape, and we're going to start executing here in just a couple of moments. We should be. Are we actually doing anything? You know, I found when we were there that the G-15 was a little bit quirky about doing stuff. You're kind of at the mercy of the machine. The emulator kind of acts the same way. Yeah, I think that we're stuck here. Okay, so we can try this over again. Let's flip the compute switch to off. We're going to be kind and rewind. So we are rewinding the tape back to the beginning. Once it is back to the beginning, we'll reset the machine and see if we can get it to go this time. Oh, you know what? I think it was waiting for further input. But that's okay. We'll get there. So we click reset. We just got our 2 clicks. We're loading blocks. We got our ready sign. We're flipping compute to go. So we're typing out the contents of line 19 on the drum again. And as you can see, since we've executed code, the contents have changed. We can scroll up here and you'll see that things are, well, maybe they're about the same. All right, so let's go back over to the documentation and I'll show you what it was looking for. There we go. So on test 5, once we hit that, it was going to do some additional processing, and then we would need to enter the number of subtest iterations that we wanted. So when we get back to that point, I'll do that, and I'll show you how that works. So that is one thing about the Retro G-15 emulator. It tries to be as cycle accurate as it can. So what we're getting now is the experience of almost like using a real G-15. The processing times are similar. Okay. I think we are at the point where it's asking for us to select which test that we want. So I'm going to select 5, I'm going to hit Tab, and then S, and we should be loading more tape. We are. We're going to be processing here momentarily. All right. I think it is at the point where it's asking for further input. So in this case, we have to tell it how many subtests we want with seven digits in the type of hexadecimal that the G-15 uses, which is different. Usagi Electric has a video that talks about that. But in this case, all we have to do is enter 6 zeros, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the number 2 to select 2 runs of the subtest. Then we're going to hit Tab and S, and we're back to processing. And we're going to be getting some beeping of the bell. So when it gets done and the tape is completely loaded, it will rewind the tape automatically and start cycling through the process again until we stop it. So as you can see, it completed one run. It's rewinding. It will repeat the tests and then print out the same information again. If there were error codes, they'd be shown here. And of course, you'd have to use the operator's manual to find out what the error codes mean. But the machine is completely virtual, so it's not like a real G-15 where something may have failed in between runs. We should be getting close to some printed output. And there we go. So that is what we were expecting to see. We can halt the machine by flipping the compute switch to off. You can see now that our halt light is lit. So it's best practice to rewind your tape. You don't have to, but let's go ahead and do that anyway. So once we're done here, we'll unload the tape file, and then I'll show you how to turn the machine off. All right, let's unload the tape. And then to shut off the machine, you double-click the off button. And now the Retro G-15 is shut down. So that's pretty much it. Now, when the G-15 goes on public display, I would highly recommend going to check it out if you can. Also, check out the Usagi Electric videos. He has an entire playlist on fixing this machine. It's a wonderful old computer, and watching the videos is a lot of fun. Getting to see the machine is a lot of fun, and I really think you'll enjoy it. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I hope you'll leave a like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.